Here we are, day 2 on the 72 C10. Started to assemble a tail light harness, getting it all loomed up, get it installed. With the American Auto Wire kits, you have to, like I said, you have to terminate everything. There's nothing's pre-terminated, so comes with all the new ends. We'll go over that. Basically, use a GM style crimper for like a weather pack connector. It works really well on those, and that's where we're at. So building this thing out, it's the tedious work. We're replacing all the wiring. I'm gonna make it as clean as you can. Like to use this nice braided split loom. Quality of it's really nice. Works out really well. I've been using it for quite a while. Quite a few cars rolling around when I put this stuff in. It makes it nice if you had to do a wiring repair or anything like that. A lot of guys like to use the expanding style. The problem with the expanding style is you can't access the wire without cutting it. And then once you cut it, you've got to peel it back, do your repair, and then put it on. So I feel like the split loom's the way to go. Alright, so next up, on these American Auto Wire kits, you need to terminate all the ends, which means put all your terminal ends on. It's really kind of nice. They come with like a GM style, like old school. So what works really well on these is your GM weather pack connector tools. Again, iWis, like I use for my Deutsch connectors, same brand. Just had really good luck with them. Good quality piece. Take these guys and she's got a nice little fitting. Away you go. Build out your ends. So that's where we're at next. We put the tail light harness together. Get the tail lights mounted back up in, and then move to the front. Start building out the engine harness and the headlight harness. All right, so we got tail light harness in, routed up under the dash, all the way back to the taillights in the back. Now we're starting on engine harness and front headlight harness. Pulled a bunch of stuff out of the engine harness and the headlight harness that we're not going to need since I'm putting Dakota Digital in this vehicle. Since we're going with the Dakota Digital VHX, none of the factory sensor wires are needed. We're running a one-wire alternator, so the alternator wires have been pulled from the deal. We'll just be using just the charging gauge, no dummy light. So yeah, just kind of plugging along, making stuff work, building our terminals out. cut out the hole in the firewall. Difference was the updated style had a larger opening that we needed. So like I said, came with a template, just grab a body saw, cut that open. And we're gonna set this up there in place. The only thing we're gonna have to change is on the factory, here she is. The factory turn signal switch on this older truck was actually a round style that mounted to the bottom of the column. But like I said, he's got an updated column, so I'm just waiting to see. He didn't bring that column through to me yet. Once he brings that column through, then I can see what style we have and see if I need to rob the connector from the original wire harness or update this truck to the flat style turn signal switch connector. Alright, so you notice basically just pre-routing the wire harness. I like to do that, just kind of lay it all out. It's easier, especially when you're dealing with pre-made harnesses that have to be cut to length to wire in the front lights and stuff. When you're pulling from spools, obviously on race car stuff, it's a lot easier. You can measure it out, take your little measuring tape, figure out where everything needs to be, get your ballpark, and away you go. But with these, just easier, just lay them out. You saw me taping them together just to kind of secure everything so I can route it where I want it to go. And then when everything's all terminated out, I'll pull the whole harness back out and use some split loom and heat shrink on it at that point in time and get it all completed up. So what we're doing right now is we take a parking light wire and a flasher wire, and these are what coming into your front side markers. We're going to put a terminal end on them. And if you ever notice on some GMs and other vehicles, your front turn signal flashes and then your side marker goes out. What it's actually doing is the side marker grounds through the flasher side of your turn signal bulb, and when the flasher gets power on that side, it breaks ground to the side marker, and that's what causes your alternating lights flashing when you have a front turn signal operating on these vehicles. So we're going to wire these into the front turn signal harness, wire in the headlights, set the terminals out, move over to the other side, do the same damn thing, or same thing, excuse me. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. And then pull it all back apart, loom it. I don't think I have enough loom. I'm waiting for a couple hundred feet of loom to come in, and I order it by the case. And UPS decided to lose some of my stuff, so you know, just waiting on that. All I'm doing here real quick is just the temp sensor, thermostatic control switch for the dual electric fan setup. That's a Ron Davis kit. It's going to go down in the intake. They recommend you just to do a butt connector, you know, going back to their wire. But what I'm going to do on this particular setup is I'm going to just assemble a Deutsch connector for it real quick. Just kind of a nice little option. Sensor goes bad, you can unplug it. I can always assemble another Deutsch connector. But just makes it so you can unplug it, remove the harness out of the way if you have to, rather than having to peel this thing all the way back to the controller where they use a GM style weather pack connector. I do have weather pack connectors. I just prefer to use Deutsch. I started using them a little while back and just really like the way they work. If you shop around, you can find them in black. The majority of them are gray. So there is some downside there. Some people don't want the gray, and then you have to pay a premium for the black ones. But they are available. I did find a place here locally in Arizona that has them. So that's that. These are kind of nice. These are iWis. Got a full kit. You know, all the different sizes, terminal tools, and disassembled connectors. It's kind of a cool deal, very affordable, and it works really well. Drop a pin down in there. It's got here. That's it. Easy peasy. Sweet. Gold. Just like that, we've got the female socket side all set to go. Alright, so had a few days off working on this thing. I was waiting on a customer to get this panel where we wanted to mount everything up to. He's got it roughed out right now. I came back up, started running some more wiring up. I know it looks like a mess right now, but I just need to leave everything loose and long until he has that thing secured in its final location. And once it's secured in its final location, I can cut everything to the proper length, loom it all. Dash harness is in, completely wrapped. I like to use Tessa brand tape. That's what we used. I worked on German cars for years, and that's what we used on German cars for all our wiring repairs, was Tessa brand tape. So that's what I use on this. Everything's all loomed out. Just kind of gotta tie this back, the YN piece for where it goes over to the other headlight. Not entirely happy with that. These harnesses are kind of hard to, I don't know, kind of hard to clean up for the most part, to get them to the way I normally like stuff to look. But these old truck stuff, I mean, we've got it way cleaner than what it was. This is actually our starter solenoid wire. I got that routed down under the radiator, comes all the way back to the starter. I had to run 4-gauge wire for the alternator. I've got that routed down to the frame down there. And that's, I use P-clamps, stainless steel P-clamps, the rubber lined ones. And then stainless steel rib nuts with 1/4" 20 stainless steel Allen head bolts to secure that stuff in place. I ended up taking the harness out of here. It never looks good there, so I cut a couple holes in the header here, run it up and underneath, and then it tucks up under here. These bolts here, you just take some. What works really good to stop so no wiring gets rubbed through is you just put some vacuum caps over the ends of the bolts, so that way, you know, it can't rub through. It's pretty secure up in there. What you can't see is I also have riveted a P-clamp in place. There's your black rivet right here to hold that harness up. Over here we have that's our dual mega fuse setup, 175 amps for both of them. That's what comes with the American Auto Wire kit. So utilized an old evaporative canister mount for that guy. Got that mounted there. This is the fan control setup he wanted to use. It's from Ron Davis, along with the radiator, which uses a thermostatic control sensor, which should kick them on at 185. They'll both come on at the same time. I routed the harness under here, and then the ends I used on that is Deutsch connectors. Just waiting on a few more parts to show up, and I should be able to button this guy up. We did all one central ground. I mean, I know it looks more organized in person than what it looks like right here. That's where we're all routed out to, is our headlight harness coming over. In that headlight harness, there's also a 12-volt power ignition on for the fan control relay. We got our ground wire running here. I got to get some, he didn't have any short 3/8 16 threads, so I've got to get some short 3/8 16s. This is going to be also secured too. I'm just waiting on, they make a nice, they're actually for cameras, for when you're working on this old standard stuff. So it's a 3/8 16 thread reducer is what it is. So what we're going to use here is I'll use a thread reducer. It'll be a stainless steel, so it's 3/8 16, and then the inner thread of it is 1/4" 20, and then I'll use some stainless steel P-clamps. We'll take that back. I'll do the same thing on the other side over there for the alternator harness. I still need to make a ground, which that just needs to be, according to American Billet, just a 10-gauge wire to ground that alternator. So that's what we got going on. This one's taken, I'm about 38 hours into this job, and that's, you know, tail light, I mean, pulling everything out of the truck, getting everything where we're at right now. I mean, everything is really, really close. I've got, I ran out of hardware to build my starter cable and my negative ground from the battery. I'm also waiting for a battery. Customer ordered up a excess power battery for this truck, so that's what I'm going to run on that. So then I also needed, they use 6mm bolts at the top of the battery on that, so I ordered up the right size cable ends for that guy. And that's where we're at with this one. Kind of slow going, but I mean, I went a little bit above and beyond. The customer's a friend of mine too as well, so just kind of, you know, he just wanted a basic rewire, but I wanted to make sure that I loomed everything in split sleeve style loom, and then on all the ends of every piece that's been loomed or touched or wrapped is also on every end is had adhesive back heat shrink. So these are just our coated digital sensor wires that I'm waiting for some grommets to come in so I can run them through. I'm going to plug that hole on the left. That right there on the right is where our sensor wires are going to come through. We have another grommet over here toward the center. I'm actually going to run the coil wire inside the cab. So that's what we're waiting on. Waiting on coil wire, waiting on some other stuff so I can finish up starter wires. Customer's supposed to, he asked me if I'd help him get some other stuff plumbed up, so he's supposed to get some parts together this weekend, get everything plumbed up. Going to utilize these guys for the R&M specialties, so I can get rid of the zip ties on his plug wires here that he had and route those all nice. And probably going to have to, I think I'm going to restab that distributor because I don't know if he's got it quite right, so I'll help him out with that. Normally this isn't the kind of stuff I'm doing, but you know, like I said, a friend of mine, so I'm going to help him out, get as much done as we can. He has the equipment here to build his own power steering lines, so he's actually going to build power steering lines. This pump uses a -10 return and a -6 feed, so he's gonna make up his own hydraulic lines. He's just got to get the adapters for the steering box. So we'll see where we end up. He's hoping to drive this to Good Guys here next weekend here in Arizona, so if that works out, that will be awesome. We'll find out. We'll see. I mean, we're playing the wait on some parts games, so that's all for now.